Okay.
What's up, gamers? Today we're going to talk about digital rights and responsibilities. Now, unfortunately, there are only two of us, and there are supposed to be three, but I guess some of us just can't be bothered to show up. So,
What we're going to dive into today is, obviously digital rights and responsibilities, what that means to us, what that does.
not only what it means to us, what it means legally and societally,
Mm.
because we do, in fact, live in a society.
Okay. Um, the uh, the definition of digital rights and responsibility goes as digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create, and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronics, and telecommunication devices. And then those responsibilities of the users.
Yeah, the associated responsibilities of using those devices and those services,
Like,
because it's a very Wild West type environment because there's a whole bunch of loopholes and stuff that can happen on the internet. Very hard to control.
like important rights, like big companies can't sell your passwords because that would be a breach of literally pretty much all your information, and then you wouldn't that wouldn't be responsible of them, and you wouldn't feel safe on the internet. So like these rights cover like a whole lot more than just like the textbook definition of like the rights.
Right, and not only is it the responsibilities of others, but the ones you should take yourself of being safe and respecting other people. While, yes, sites can determine to censor certain people, they might not always do that, and some things you say may have consequences.
Like as Nick was saying, like certain sites might censor you, but that could be to protect the welfare of other users who could be younger, who like shouldn't be exposed to certain type of things, like how certain sites like YouTube will block you from posting links in other people's comments because that could lead to certain dangerous websites like malware, trojans.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know that you couldn't post links.
Yeah, like
Um,
yeah.
but for example, attacks in the past, we have had Edward Snowden, who in 2013 has led to governments to have a stronger control over people's data, which not a lot of people liked because people want to be able to do what they would like to do. And I feel personally that if you are responsible with your data, you should be able to do what you want because majority of people are not bad people.
But it's still like a hard thing to control and monitor because the internet is still like relatively a new thing. So like it's hard for everything to say safe and secure when there's new websites, new uh, devices used for hacking that are made every day. You, you can't protect everywhere and everyone.
Yeah, and I feel like that's an important distinction to make is that the more we make new devices, the more people are going to try and find a way to breach those devices and take somebody's data or use them for things they were not intended to do. Like, for example, I have hacked my Wii to be able to, you know, access the internet once again because they turned off the internet, which I don't personally see as bad, but these avenues have led to the ability to pirate games, which I'm not about because I like to respect the people that put their effort into making that game.
That's the responsibility, like part of it. Like it's your responsibility to not steal off the internet.
Right. But I feel like if you are self aware with what you are doing and you can pay attention to what's going on around you, you should be pretty safe. And there are sites that do a lot of piracy, or not piracy, um, censorship. And, some people don't really like that.
Yeah, like what's the word? What's it called? And you like take work that isn't yours and like say it's yours.
Like, piracy,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've seen different like game servers take other ones' maps and like just not give any credit or not even mention it. And like there's not much things that like they can do about it because like it's so hard to say that like this is yours and only yours because it's hard to claim something or to find an original source on the internet.
Yeah, and I feel like that brings up the fact, or not the fact, but the argument of, hey, I changed it some, so therefore it's mine. But where does that line get drawn of it's the same thing, just with a couple modifications, or when does it become something that's brand new,
Yeah,
taking inspiration from it?
but inspiration and like straight up just copying, like you can never know someone's true intentions. Like no one's ever gonna like straight up say, "Yeah, I stole it."
Right, which is another thing you have to really be aware of because, well, most people, I believe, are not bad people. There are going to be those people that are going to try and pass themselves off as good people when they're really not. Dylan, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
All right, so how do you feel about censorship?
Censorship. That's a like really complicated answer because like, of course, censorship on certain things might be good, but also bad because they could block it could block like free thought or like decision making. Like say you had 40 decisions and someone censors them down to just two different decisions. Like you no longer have a decision because like both of those things will probably be like what like the other person wanted. But then like say a site is posting, you know, I don't want to say it, but like really bad things or just like pirating
Right,
music,
like
games,
people
like
getting seriously
yeah,
injured and
then like you like that could be blocked, but also like there's no set bill of rights for the internet. Like there's nothing set. Well, I'm sure there is, but like it isn't known very well. Like saying that like you cannot post gore or
right. And I think that's a good point to bring up is the internet is international and we're never, like, being realistically, we're never going to be able to get every country to agree to rules for the internet.
just like every country has its own set rights and laws. Like I'm sure most like laws for countries like would be applied for over the internet too. Like I'm sure in like in the United States, you can buy a rifle at a gun show and just walk home with it because I guess like rifles and other handguns are like they're like different in the eyes of the government and law. But now on the internet, like you can just 3D print guns and like it just it's such like a complex like how is
Right,
the
and
government going to say you can't make something at your house with plastic and metal
yeah,
and like
I
and
totally
like
get
apply
that.
that to the internet?
But I feel like when it does come into that creating something, that's when they can actually step in because there are certain things you're not allowed to have. For example, if you wanted to make, I don't know, drugs, a lot of that stuff,
Oh yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
end up having it, they're gonna come and get you.
Or I even heard that like if you were to search up on Google how to make a homemade bomb, the authorities are going to be like uh, notified that you just searched that up.
Right. And I feel like that is a very good thing. While I'm
Yeah,
personally not for being able to see what people have looked up, I feel like that protects more people than it hurts.
like, but then like that would also make some people mad that like certain keywords would give the government permission or like them or allow them to search through your computer and like look at your private well what you thought were private like searches and stuff.
Right. I get that. And moving on from that, I think the whole deal with freedom of speech, I feel like that's a very yes or no. There is no gray area in between.
And you
I
can't
don't
really
know how
like
you
apply
feel about
that
it.
on the internet either because like
Right.
because like all websites have owners which like I would say like are like a private business. Like they could they could make it whatever they want, like as long as it stays inside with like logic, you know,
Yeah,
like
I get that.
like how a certain like I'm sure Joe Biden's website they're probably gonna not want comments about Joe Biden that are negative. Same with Trump, like they like aren't gonna have that. They're gonna erase those comments. But like, what can anyone really do because it's owned by them?
Right, and I feel like to an extent, I feel like that is one of the responsibilities of whoever owns that site is to make sure people are safe. But on the other side of the coin, I don't see why they should outright, just get rid of discourse because some of it may be civil, which I would hope so. But you know, people aren't always rational like that.
Mm-mm.
Can you see where I'm coming from there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because I think if you afford people just that little bit of control, they're going to find ways to they over like abuse that power.
yeah.
That's why I feel like it's so black and white.
And
Like there is no in between.
Nick, I have a question for you. What would you say your responsibilities are on the internet, on like any site?
That that's a tough question. I feel like my responsibilities would be to protect myself, make sure
Your information.
that right, protect my information, my devices, and make sure that I don't put any information out there that can potentially harm anybody, and make sure I don't promote any information that could harm anybody.
Yeah, like there have been. Well, I was gonna bring up a topic like obviously like there are like other like nasty websites that are allowed, but then like those websites, like there have been cases where since that is an adult website, there have been certain like uh slaves, like child slaves, uh uh brought in, but like, there's like no way for like the uh moderators to really know if that's actually like a person of like they're underage. Like there's
Right. But I feel like with the resources of being able to contact the authorities, which are very available to us, I feel like not that's easily something they could have investigated.
yeah, but I'm saying then like it's like happening, and not everything on the internet is going to be bulletproof. Like just like last month, a lot of big Twitter users were hacked, like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, where a like the hacker put a link down and said, "Send me like 5 bitcoins and I'll double it," and like that was like one of like the biggest like uh, hackings of Twitter in like a long time. And like and what how is Twitter responsible, and like how would they like protect that for next time?
See, I personally, I don't think Twitter was responsible because they didn't promote it and they didn't, you know, they didn't
Yeah,
put it out there. I feel like it's, and I'm not trying to blame the victim here, but I feel like if you're more secure with your information,
but some stuff like that, like you you like can't be too secure. Like there are
right,
algorithms to find out a password that like guess every single password like known.
right, and I feel like if you are a person of interest, such as Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whoever else was hacked, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe I hate to say it, but maybe try not to use those platforms just because there are other ways of getting information out. And as much as I do think it is important for people to be able to do what they want, I think sometimes security does come in over that. But I do see that that's not really fair to anybody because, like I said, they should be able to do what they want. And really, Twitter, the most it's they're going to do is make people think badly of you. I mean,
yeah.
it's Twitter.
Well, that like got me thinking about like the phrase digital native and digital citizen, like
Yeah.
how certain older folks might not know or not might not be aware of what's allowed and what's not allowed, and like people are gonna know that, and like that's why like they're targets for so much of scams.
Yeah, I feel like people that do those bad things, they are definitely going to take advantage of those. I don't want to say differences in power, but differences in knowledge.
Yeah,
Because
like
if you are knowledgeable, you're going to be safe.
but like also like not like every senior is gonna be a digital like digitally illiterate. Like some are gonna know.
Right.
And I know like a lot of websites do say we will never personally ask for your password or anything along those lines. But of course, like you can just skip that and not read it.
Yeah.
Like the terms of agreements for games. But like I don't think I've ever read past half a page on a terms and agreement on anything.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you right now. I don't think I've gone past the first sentence. So I definitely see where you're coming from on that one.
Like I feel like a lot of these people like do certain things because like the internet is like an entirely new world. Like they feel like that's it's like a disconnect from the actual world, and like they can do whatever they want with no repercussions.
Right, which is not the case, obviously. Because, wow, I really forgot what I was going to say.
Brain fart.
Yep. All right. Want to move on to something else then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, I had something. God, I also
Actually,
brain
I
fart.
have a I have a question.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
So, what is a human right is very subjective. So I feel like I need to ask, what do you think are
Not really
human
like
rights?
subjective.
Wait,
I mean, it's kind of like laid out in like the Constitution.
right, but not everybody believes in the Constitution, right?
I'm, I,
So I feel
yeah,
like
okay, okay.
what are your ideas of human rights, especially as they pertain to the internet?
Human rights. Well, of course, certain rights aren't gonna apply because like that goes back to like the private websites, just like private businesses. Like they can they can tell you like you can't do this. It, it's mine. I own it. I can tell you like what you're allowed to do and like what you're not allowed to do. Like and then like certain rights like just like d- don't apply in general. Like they like, wouldn't make sense. Like how is the Second Amendment applied to the internet? Like from the sense of bearing arms, like
Right, that
like
makes sense.
or it's like no well the but like the no unreasonable searches like that could be applied because like a computer or phone or search history is yours and like without certain evidence like they like can't look at or without a warrant like they can't look into your information.
Right, I get that. That kind of brings us along to, you know, if nobody's doing anything wrong, why would they mind if they get their stuff searched? But at the same time, would you feel comfortable knowing you've done nothing wrong, having somebody search through your room and your
Yeah,
belongings?
even though you may have not done something wrong, something can still be personal and like embarrassing to you, and like you wouldn't want someone
Right,
like that's like having like once a week a like cop comes to your house and like searches like your entire house, and like you may not have nothing to hide, but like if they're searching through like your underwear drawer and like your personal belongings, like you're gonna feel violated, you're gonna feel uncomfortable.
right. I get that. I couldn't agree with you more, actually. I mean, I guess
It's
the real debate, I believe, is where does that privacy line end?
yeah, because it's hard for the internet because it's so complex and like so many different loopholes and
Right,
just like the real world, but it's obviously gonna be different because you can like you could change like your name on the internet and like how like what's the thing where they raid streamers like they call the
swatting.
cops swatting like they like have their IP set to like someone that's like close by and say hey this dude is like has his whole family hostage like with like guns and knives, and like how are the cops gonna know different? Because like I saw this
Right.
one video uh, where like a dude from China swatted someone, but like how are they gonna persecute that dude? Like his government probably is gonna like let that happen. Like because like I'm once again like they live under a completely different set of laws with the internet.
Right.
Right, right, right. I like
Um,
I like the
Go ahead.
like the main point is it's hard to it's hard to define the rights when everything is so fast changing, fast moving, and so like complex.
Right. I agree with that, and I think, all right, here's a hypothetical situation. If you go onto a website that is very popular, let's say in the United States, but is hosted in, I don't know, Kazakhstan, Russia, either one of those, something like that, just a different country, doesn't matter where, and you do something that's illegal in the United States, but not one of those countries, do you get in trouble? Because it's technically on those foreign servers.
Yeah, and they might have different like rules or
Right.
not rules or like no rules. I mean, I would think that like our things would still apply because like you're still in the United States, you're still under those set of laws as long as you're inside the border. Like
Right. Which I get.
I
But at the
mean,
same time, that information is no longer here.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I guess that's kind of the a similarity with the TikTok situation
yeah.
because TikTok has this algorithm that can pretty much learn what you like to view within a few hours,
Mm-hmm. Like
and a lot of people won't.
my
Go ahead.
TikTok, like my like for you page or whatever. Like there's like hardly any videos like I don't find funny or I don't like that don't appeal to my sense of humor. Like they're all like in my range.
Right. Which some people would say that algorithm is bad,
Yeah.
which I can see, but also there are subroutines that get your information and send it back to China, allegedly.
I think it was like confirmed or whatever, but like that
Yeah,
that that like brings me
last I heard.
yeah, that like brings me to like something else like with like there no well with what I know like there are like there's like nothing in like the Bill of Rights that say like anything about the internet except for like free speech with like which like might uh count, but I don't know for sure. Like a like could the government just start banning a bunch of different websites just because like they don't like them?
Right,
I'm like it's hard to like talk about that. I was like we don't know like just like how like this is like still pretty much new. Like we don't like we, it's hard to like how
right,
it's kind of like vaping like no one knows like the long term effects of it because it hasn't
right,
been around long enough for like us to see.
right. And I think that brings us back to my point earlier where I said it's like the Wild West,
What was
right?
that?
Because, we really don't know anything because we don't have that amount of information. I mean, for example, for quite a long time, doctors recommended smoking. That doesn't mean it was actually good.
Or like even like like or like even like painkillers now. they're still like horrible and can lead to
Heart problems and
or different like kinds of drug like cheaper drugs to keep that feeling going.
yeah, I mean,
Even now, it's not like even now like, that's not perfect, and that's been around a whole lot longer than the internet.
right, exactly. And I don't think it ever could be perfect.
Uh,
Now, when it comes to interacting with as many people as the internet does,
yeah,
it's just going to make it even more complicated.
I was gonna like search something up because I was confused about something. I just had a huge brain fart.
Well, since you asked me, I'll ask you. What do you think your digital
Responsibilities.
responsibilities are?
Um, well, to me, like that's like the one part that like won't change much, like because it's I think it's like kind of the same as in like the real world. Like if you see someone getting like stabbed or beaten up, it's not it's not enforced, but it's like a responsibility that like you should have to like tell like the police, not intervene like
You
yourself, but like to let
you're trying to say, look out for the common man, look out for
yeah,
the victim.
but like you can't enforce that. Like there,
Right. But go ahead.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean it's like hard to like enforce that.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of really hard with the internet because at the end of the day, it is just words. And I mean, how are you going to control words, right?
Yeah. Or okay.
Because
Sorry, go on.
sticks and stones may break your bones, and words will never hurt you. But we all know that's not true. Sometimes words do hurt. So what? Where is that point?
Yeah.
Where is that line that you know separates casual banter from harassment, and what should we do about that
Yeah.
online harassment?
And like a point that I was gonna make was like your sixth right or whatever, right? It's all criminals or all persons, sorry, all accused shall have the right to a speedy and public trial, right? But
Right.
I've seen trials now that are on Zoom or other online like talking websites, and like I'm sure certain people could make the argument that since it's online, like that could be like that amendment could just be thrown out the window because it's not because it says nothing in there about the internet
Right.
and
Which I get.
like that goes back to like you saying like how like certain people um how certain people read into it or how what like their idea of it
Right
is.
now,
Uh, I'm sorry.
I was saying that we're also in a very unique time right now,
Yes.
and since we can't be together in person, you know
Yeah.
that's a uh, possibly temporary workaround. We don't know if that's going to stick around, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, expedient, that's relative, but I mean, even people do take some time to actually show up to online meetings,
Which
right?
like could be their
I mean,
or not their fault.
go ahead. Right.
Yeah, and you saying something about like us being in a unique time is what I'm like a different like thought, right? Like because I recently read that if you use Zoom like the host or teacher can like look at your other tabs, right? And like nothing like it's kind of like is that wrong of them? Like
I would say so.
well, yeah, you would say so, but like there's nothing saying that they can't do it. 'Cause, like the website allows it and like lets them, so it's obviously okay in their eyes.
Right. I mean, that brings us back to privacy. Do we have that right to privacy online?
I mean, that's what like we're told like to a certain extent. Yes, we're gonna have that right until it goes back to like like searching up how to build a bomb. Like then like your rights are taken like just how in school like you have certain rights stripped from you. Like like a you can get your locker searched for no reason other than they just want to.
Right. I mean, I think at that point it's a question of safety rather than privacy.
Well, even if like even if like there's no suspicion about anything, like that, like a teacher or a vice principal like just doesn't like that kid, like what stops them from like purposely getting them in trouble or just searching their locker with no evidence whatsoever?
Well, hopefully the other faculty,
Yeah,
because
but it's
I, yeah, I agree with you. That's messed up.
yeah, like that's like how like the internet, like the creator of the website or a website could have like in his terms and like agreement like once you click on my link to my website, I can look through your computer and I can like it and like no one I would like no one's gonna read that long of a page or like that like 50 page terms and agreement and like that goes back to like responsibility like I feel like it's your responsibility like not to steal other people's information but then like it's I wouldn't say like it's your right to but like you can do it and maybe not have any repercussions because like you you agreed to it in like the terms and conditions.
Right. I agree with that. I also I was kind of thinking, like, if you go and look at a terms and conditions page, it's long. It uses big, complicated words, and
And
I
stuff
know.
that either super young users or older users who may not have the best eyesight aren't gonna read, or is even
Right.
like perfect health, like they don't feel like doing that.
I know a lot of people. They probably just don't feel like it, so they don't.
No, yeah, like I had never have.
Exactly. I feel like if it was shorter and more simple, well, that yes, that would be
Yeah, but then like the simple could lead to oh
loopholes.
it doesn't
Right.
exactly state this, and like that goes back
Right.
to like the loose interpretation and tight interpretation like of the Bill of Rights. Like it's just like it's like it could be how you perceive it.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. But, or even, I know personally, if I were to write some terms and agreements, I would probably make two versions. I'd make one, or even I'd have one where it's like the simplified versions, and if you click on the simplified text, it'll bring you to the more in-depth text. So it's all there. If you would like to look at it, you can. But as
And
long
that
as
could
you read
yeah.
the simplified version, but there's no way to actually make sure people have actually read it. I mean,
I
I know personally,
I
I've
like
scrolled
they're
through.
like are probably ways like you could check, but those ways could be illegal.
Yeah, or like even if they just set up like a quiz, more people are probably not going to go to your site or use your service because they are either too lazy or do not care enough when there are alternatives.
Yeah. Quick shout out to Mr. David if he's still listening.
Oh, yeah. If you are still listening, please leave a comment saying we have listened up
And have read the
until,
terms and agreements.
yes. Say you have read the terms and agreements.
Because this has been going on for 40 minutes. We've been talking for 40 minutes.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Well, it still like feels like not that long.
I know. I mean, we've been making a lot of good, I think it's been a very good educational conversation.
That's what we think.
I mean, yeah,
That's what we hope.
but yeah. No, it's good, right, Mr. David? It's very smart of us.
Because this is like almost an hour of hard work that we're going to make you
Right.
listen to.
And it was extra work that we really shouldn't have had to do because
And I
partner number three,
and my thing is showing that it is still recording and stuff, but I'm just letting you know that if this doesn't record, I'm not doing it again.
that's fair. Just try and make something that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
we can make a shorter.
Yeah, more simplified version.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, are we good? I mean, like, this has been a.
Um, I
I feel
mean,
like
do you
we.
have any finishing thoughts?
Oh yeah, like yeah. I'm like, digital rights and responsibilities. Like, it's again like it hasn't been like around, so it's still hard to like set exact rules in place. Like for like the worldwide internet, like it's because you can't in some places, and it's just yeah.
Right. I mean, I think unless we had a worldwide government, single governing body, it's going to be nearly, if not
which
impossible,
which
to
still is
create.
like hard to control. Like one big government, stuff's gonna slip by.
Yeah. So
Okay,
it's a very
tough definition.
difficult and complicated topic. Lots of nuance and lots of ideas, but it is very important to how we live because we spend so much of our time on the internet, especially now that, we're not meeting in person.
Mm-hmm. And like I feel like this new age, not new age, but this big use of the internet is gonna change some things.
Yeah, I definitely feel like this is a new era for the internet, whether we really realize it or not. So,
So final thoughts. Like quick. It is hard to define, but like I think is like it's like the responsibilities part is pretty. It's like pretty easy for like me to define or like keep
yeah,
simple,
I
but
think
then the rights
it's a
are
very,
yeah
go ahead.
yeah, but then, like the rights are gonna be changing, hard to define, and just not apply in certain
Yeah,
cases.
because really, who's there to enforce those rights?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like responsibilities are more on a personal basis than what your beliefs are. Those rights, while yes, are very important on your personal beliefs, there's not going to be anybody to be able to say, hey, you can't do that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sure, there are, but it's not very strong, and I don't think it ever could be strong. And that's pretty much it for me. I mean,
Yeah, me too. My brain's worn out.
yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the most intelligent thing you've done in a long time.
Thanks, Nick.
Anytime.
All
Love you.
right. Mr. Veed. I'm gonna go hop in the shower, eat some
Hi,
nice.
Dylan. We don't need to know about that.
Okay,
And if anybody else is listening,
which
why?
yeah, which I hope no one is.
No, it's cool. Just please
Okay.
tell me why, because this is not
Or share your thoughts and
very.
opinions on it.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna
Later,
head
gamers
out. Peace out, gamers and gamettes.
and game betweens.
We'll see you next project.
Hope so.
Bye bye.
Later.